it feels like such an adventure because I had this guy Josh follow me around with a camera because he just wanted to document all this. So we're walking around like the housing projects in the Lower East Side, and it's late at night, and these 3 kids just circle us on bikes, and one of them yells, "Fuck you!" And I'm like, "Ah!" And then they bike away, and I turn to him like, "Did you get that?" Like it turns into this adventure. So then I do the show in the East River, and you're like, "Well, this can't get any worse." Mid-set, some drunkard just walks over and starts pissing 10 feet next, and I'm just like, "This is like." I told him like, "Don't film. This is like humiliating for this guy. Don't film this." There's so many things that have happened. There was another show I did in Jersey where we're outdoors at this great restaurant, and a guy in like a buzz cut just runs over to me, and I'm expecting him to hit me. Like we posted this, and my caption guy Toby wrote, "Drunk rushes the stage," and like he didn't rush it, and I'm like, he came pretty hard at me, and he yells like, "Fuck you!" There's an exit behind the stage door.
Right, I saw that. That was so ridiculous.
I said, "There's no exit behind the stage door." And he was like, and I finally just go, "Are you okay?" Like, I'm kind of like looking at him like, "Is this dude all right?" And then he goes, "Yeah, there's a fucking exit," or whatever he said. And I was like, "All right." And like, those are the things that happen. And you have to go back to material at a certain point.
Right.
And it's like, it does get a little complicated, you know?
Of all those situations, the scariest one is still the kids on the bike.
The kids like that will fuck
the Manhattan, because I live like down on 14th, and it's like I don't know if that's part of their typical path, but I like weekly there will be hundreds of kids who just go riding their bikes by my house or by my apartment, like popping wheelies, just riding wheelies the whole time. It is, dude. It's the most scared I ever am in Manhattan. I'm terrified every single time it happens.
They're so good at wheelies. Those kids can do shit on bikes. I'm like, you guys should be on fucking X Games, man. You're unbelievable. They are terrifying.
It doesn't make any sense that they talk shit and they also have that level of discipline. So you know they could make it. I mean, that's the problem. Is like. Now it's not just bikes in New York. You got to deal with like the kids on the scooters. There's like all these new. It's like if they remade the Warriors, it would be like the lamest looking gangs ever. You know.
But they're great at organizing. Like they must use community. Like they just somehow get hundreds of them together and it's just like, yeah, we're all riding today, boys.
Are you a Manhattan guy? Like where did you grow up?
I grew up Chelsea, then the Upper East Side.
Okay, so you got to be a weirdo too.
I'm a weirdo for sure.
Were you riding the subway when you were like 9?
I was pretty young on the subway.
I mean, that's I was in the Bronx, and like I've always had jobs in Manhattan or been in Manhattan, but living in Manhattan, where you don't have a backyard, you're not riding your bike as much, you're like always out on the fucking stoop maybe, and you're riding the subway. It's you had no shot. You were gonna be weird no matter what, Sam. If you grow up in Manhattan, you're weird. Period.
There is a lot of weirdness. Also, my mom's an artist, so there was like that on top. Like I was with my girlfriend, and she saw this picture of me when I was a baby. Like literally, this is my mom. My mom. There was a picture of me. She had like one of her photographer friends do this photo shoot of me as a baby, and my mom just puts me in a little jean jacket and is like holding me up. My dick is just out, like it's like this weird artistic shot where she's just holding me in the air. I'm basically like Simba in the Lion King, but like this artistic shot, and I was like, oh, I had no chance to not be like a weird kid.
No shot. That's
my mom's a great mom, but that's like how my mom saw me. She's like, look at him.
Yeah.
Look at this
I could just see it like in Lion King. She holds it up and then there's just a crew of Jewish mothers like, yeah.
I always think that's like a trope in movies where it's like, Mom, don't show my baby pictures. And it's like, well, like you like the dick's grown. But that one I might be like, Mom, put that fucking picture
the dick away. The jean jack dick. I get it out of here. Your mom has been.
Jacket's so epic. Like she went to a store to buy a baby. Like they planned out that shot where he was like, let's try a leather jacket. Now let's get him on a bearskin rug, just posing. Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, you think of the times. Like I think of being like a 6th, 7th grade kid, like in Manhattan, and like you go into those bodegas, and you're always pushing the envelope. I remember like trying to buy Playboys, and you see the bodega guy, and they should be like, no, you're too young. But instead, they're like, nah, Playboy's bullshit. Try Club or Hustler.
Good, yeah. No, I feel like when you're a Manhattan kid, you're at the bodega, you're smoking cigarettes or buying a 40 or buying a Playboy. Yeah. All of that way
Yeah.
ahead of the curve, way ahead of the time.
It's
But
good you get
also-
it out of your system.
Yeah,
You're in like 8th grade, and you're like, you're still doing menthols.
Exactly. Yeah, there is a sophistication to it where it's like, you know, in Europe when they're like, yeah, we
I don't know
let them
about
have
that.
no, not sophistication, but the way
People think that because there's like some like because this is a cultural epicenter of Manhattan. They think there's like a sophistication, but we were just getting drunk with 40s like a year earlier.
Yeah,
That's really all
but-
it is.
But it's like you could handle yourself a little bit more than the next guy. Maybe not sophistication, but I feel like
dude, I couldn't handle myself. That's the problem. It's like the problem
you
is
can't handle yourself now.
I can't. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, but the problem is, you know, my parents would lock the door because they knew I'd come home fucked up. So my parents would lock the door, and I would have to like ring the doorbell. They would open the door, and my mom would be like, "Good night," so she could sniff me to see
yeah.
how fucked up I was.
Right.
And she would be like, "Wow, you," and I'd be drunk, so I'd be like, "They were blowing weed on me. I didn't smoke it. They people blew it on me." But like one time, I remember I passed out against the door, like so drunk, I just passed out, and I kept ringing the doorbell. My mom opened the door, and I fell flat on my face and started vomiting. And my dad said, "What happened to you?" And I was so drunk, I just said, I had brown liquid. I had beer and weed. I said brown liquid. So my dad said, see his latest call. So they took out like a Nokia, one of those like old
Bricks.
Nokia phones.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my dad said, find his latest call. So he called one of my friends and he goes, "What happened to Sam?" And he goes, "We had brown liquid." For some reason, he also said brown liquid. And my dad goes, "He's had acid. Take him to the ER immediately." I was just drunk.
Did you go? Did he take you?
Yeah.
Oh
we had
my
to like,
God.
Yeah, there was a doctor came in. He was like, "Your son
He's
is
drunk."
just drunk. It's fine."
Sir, your son is shit-faced. It'll be okay.